days or whatever.
And will Trump win re-election?
Absolutely.
Bigger margin than last time?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's call
Write it
up.
down.
Let's call up Mr. Fleccas Talk. Oh no, I forgot this awful ring. Please. Hey, Fleccas, you there?
Frank, of course. What's going on?
Oh, man, it's so great to have you on. Let me get you all squared up over here. Hey, you had a really big summer so far. You were just down at the White House not even a week ago. Actually, a week and a day ago. So tell me, how was it? You looked great. You looked really dapper, and you had your hair was all nice, and you were all sexified and all stuff.
Yeah, I was looking really, really good, really, really handsome. I wore a suit. I stuffed myself into the suit for the event. It was really cool. My favorite part was when I first got there, we went into the White House. We're in like this big waiting room, like this majestic, gigantic room with all these influencer people. And they had like butlers with white gloves, and they were serving like iced tea and lemonade. It was really cool.
Man, oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I saw the, I first noticed it because I didn't know if you had gone or not for sure. Turns out we got like 3 friends of the show there that were out there that day, and then all of a sudden I saw Sebastian Gorka share a video, and he's focusing right on you as you're walking down in the Rose Garden, and you're all. I'm like, damn. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Hey, my friend. Where are we? We're in the Rose Garden.
Very nice.
Waiting for the president.
Nice and humid.
After one of the most important summits, I think, so far on social media. Stay tuned, everyone.
Pretty cool. Gorka's a good friend. I've been like on his show a bunch, and he really likes Fleccas Talks. I was gonna say for some reason, but you know, he likes people that go out there and stand up to the people. So that was really cool. When I was in the actual speech from Trump itself, I was sitting next to Dan Bongino. Outside, I was sitting next to James O'Keefe and behind Gorka. It was really, really cool. I met everyone. The event itself was just fantastic. We went out in the Rose Garden. We heard the announcement for the executive order for the census thing. It was a really, really cool day. Then it started pouring on us, but all in all, a win.
It's a baptism right there. Rob, did you see this? Did you see?
I did not see it. No.
Oh man, I'll tell you something. The speech itself was really great inside the White House, and I thought it was great. It was necessary. There was a good amount of attention put on just how bad things are going. And then, of course, Fleccas, I mean, you're there. The only thing I didn't like was that we didn't get to hear any of the questions that were asked. As soon as Gorka stood up after the president stopped speaking, all of the live stream feeds on YouTube were cut. So
What message would you have us send to our followers about what's being done to them and the importance of this issue for 2020? Because a lot of people out there who call into my show don't want to use their real name, are afraid of putting their views up on the internet. What messages would you give them?
First of all, it's a great question, but it depends on what part of the country you're in. You go out to the Midwest. If I showed you a map, it's like blue on the corners and the sides. But we won, I think, a record number of counties.
was there anything compelling asked and anything compelling said?
Nah, pretty standard stuff, but literally the president was like, any questions? He looked around the room, and I kind of wanted to be like,
What did you?
sir, like a lot of your fans, millions of people follow QAnon. Can you confirm if that's real or not? Like, just so people aren't led in the wrong direction. I wanted to do one of those, but I was too much of a coward.
You know that you would have flung yourself right into the middle of something that for some reason there has been great restraint.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird that it's like the things have been so on point. The posts have been on point for so long, years ahead of its time of the news. But still, it's just like asking that question, because if something had gone wrong, like all the news would have been like QAnon, conspiracy theorists, White House summit. I feel like I would have ruined the whole summit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's been a lot of constraint with all of the back and forth, the debate about the veracity and whether or not QAnon is something legitimate or not. There's always debate going on, but there has been great restraint by all of the people gathering in those press gaggles, and it's just not come up at all. So damn, but that's great. Any other telling? So then obviously you were right. You were right there to see Gorka and the Playboy reporter almost
Oh,
get
yeah.
into a fight.
I'm just standing around. This is a group of people that are eager for demonic possession.
And you're a journalist, right?
That's right.
Hey, come on over here and talk to me, brother. We can go outside and have a long conversation.
You're threatening me now in the White House.
I'm not
In
going.
the Rose Garden. You're threatening me in the Rose Garden.
Get him.
You are a punk. You're not a journalist. You're a punk.
Go home. Journalist, go home. Hey, Gorka, get a job.
Hey, just for the record, he'd kick your punk ass.
I saw that. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was sitting right in front of me, and he started yelling at him, going back and forth, got in his face. And Gorka's like 6'4", and he's like a big dude. Not everyone knows that. Not everyone can tell from like his framing on TV. He's a really big dude, and that guy was shook for sure. And I messaged him after, and I was like, hey, like, thanks for doing that. He set a good example. People kind of got mad at him and was like, oh, what's Gorka doing? I thought it was setting a good example to kind of like respect the White House, respect the president, respect the office, and like don't curse at the guy. Because the Playboy guy tried to ask a question, but Trump like walked away and clearly.
Mr. President, are you happy with...
Clearly wasn't taking questions, and he was like, you fucking guy. Blah, blah, blah. I started cursing at him. Gorka was not having it.
Man, oh man. And what about the president? How did he smell? Did he smell like, was there a good musk? What was it? Did you breathe him in?
I didn't breathe him in, but I did. There was like a really good energy in the room. Really, really good, calm energy in the room, but like high stakes, like focus, and everyone was really locked in. He kind of just like bringing us all together. It was like, all right, cool. Like we're all on the same team. We all have like similar goals. Let's go out and make sure we're on, teaming up and making that happen. Because I think the left is so powerful because they crave power and they are able to manipulate, and they kind of team up really like, easily with each other when it comes to manipulation. But the right is more like individuals, more people focused on empowering others rather than stealing power from the people. So it's like, I guess you kind of need to bring them together. You got to bring us all together like that, just so we can kind of get on the same page, be on the same team, and like use the organizing that the left does so well kind of against them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you got both of you guys, Rob and you, Fleccas. I wanted to bring this up when you both were on the phone. But listen, last time you were on, we certainly have got. Last time you were on, we were talking about we went all over the place, and it was really awesome. And then, of course, we were doing a little bit of forecasting of what's going to happen, where are people going down, where is this all leading, and we talked about the real distilled version of what's going on, and we're talking good versus evil. We're talking about the vampiric leeching on to the most sacred parts of a society, that's its youth. We were talking about a lot of these things, these crimes against humanity and children, that we didn't know when we were going to get that validation for. We don't have all the answers, we don't have all the dates, and we don't have all the players' names yet. But it's just one of those things where, it seems like everything is just glow in the dark at this point. And as far as Epstein goes now, I'm going to read this to both of you guys. And you just let me know. Let's just start off with this. Here's a little something I read off yesterday on the show from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. Will release approximately 2,000 pages of documents, likely over the next several days, which may reveal sex crimes committed by, quote, numerous prominent American politicians, powerful business executives, foreign presidents, a well-known prime minister, and other world leaders, according to the court's 3-judge panel.
That's what we've been waiting for, right? This is literally it. Like, this is for years we've been hearing about this. We've been kind of frustrated. They've been testing our patience, but this is exactly what we were waiting for, and what it sounds like is coming is really going to be the end. We saw Nancy Pelosi's daughter. We mentioned that last time, how she was like, yeah, some people are going down. And I think that this is going to be a big wake-up call for a lot of people, too. Once people see what's going on, see the side that they were on without realizing it, they're going to kind of like naturally drift away and gravitate back towards the center.
The Vanity Fair article. First of all, amazing how Vanity Fair and the Daily Beast are trying to be are really putting themselves out there and making sure that they are handling the story from start to finish. The documents filed They were filed during a civil defamation lawsuit brought by Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts Guthrie, a former Mar-a-Lago locker room attendant, against Epstein's former girlfriend and alleged madam, Ghislaine Maxwell. Quote, nobody who was around Epstein a lot is going to have an easy time now. It's all going to come out, said Guthrie's lawyer, David Boyes. Another person involved with the litigation against Epstein told me, quote, it is going to be staggering, the amount of names. It is going to be contagion numbers.
Wow. I mean, take it for what it's worth from Vanity Fair, but there's definitely going to need to be, especially in the initial stages of this, where people are polarized to say, well, Republican, Democrat, or conservative, whatever, that people from both sides of the aisle are going to have to go down. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this will be like the draining of the establishment, the draining of the swamp, even just because all these people were probably being manipulated and blackmailed for so long, and just subverted the American way, like what's best for our country. So it's just like it makes total sense because I always watched certain politicians. It kind of changed from you see them in the 80s and the 90s, even the early 2000s, and all of a sudden everyone just kind of started selling us out and going for the globalist route. And it's what happened here? And I never could understand it. I was like, oh, they're getting paid off. Is it, bribes, whatever? And it kind of makes sense if you apply this storyline to it, where it's oh, yeah, we're all basically being blackmailed because we are or know someone who did terrible things on camera to somebody. And that's why I think all this, it might be jumping too many steps, but that app where it makes you older. Frank, I know you did one.
Yeah,
you take a bunch of pictures of your face, all over your face. I think that they're going to use that because it's a sketchy Russian app company, I think, who made it. I can see them taking that, making the fake sketchy videos, releasing them simultaneously with the real stuff that comes out, and then be oh yeah, all these fake videos online, and try to throw it all under the rug. That's kind of what I see happening with We've talked about this before, though, about the videos that are going to come out on them that are real, but they're going to try and splice in some fake ones to try and disregard the whole thing.
Well, you have to flood the entire arena. You have to flood it.
I don't think that this could be. Most of it is going to be public, though, or the court of public opinion. This is going to have to be military tribunal.
Yeah. No, anything that's going to be actionable in a real judicial way is not going to be made for public consumption, especially when it needs to be submitted as evidence before a jury. So anything,
it can't be a jury. It's
especially if it's sketchy
a tribunal,
stuff,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whoever needs to be able to analyze this in that kind of a fashion. It's not going to be open for the public. It's just not going to. Right. So it also makes you wonder that what are people like Adam Schiff always complaining about with deepfakes? Are they also preparing for other contingencies and stuff like that, where you're looking at blackmail, dead man switches being triggered, people just dropping whatever kind of levy. You guys remember with the Podesta emails? Mm-hmm. One of those Podesta emails, he's talking to, I forget who he was talking to, Dennis Hastert, the former Republican Speaker of the House, who got locked away for pedophilia, crimes against children. He's out, I think, whatever. Mm-hmm. But he was caught paying off everybody and very lovingly about him.
Right.
Stuff like those kind of WWE relationships where they're not of the same party, but they're definitely of the same, birds of a feather.
Right.
I think
parties. That's
right.
Just, pomp and circumstance. But to bring the people, just the everyday people to get past that sort of thing. That's why.
Yeah, it's really hard too, because even the people who aren't the most political, they think they kind of understand that too. I've heard people say all the time, oh yeah, it's bigger than parties. Your vote doesn't count. There's some truth to that. But the biggest mistake they're making is that they're throwing Trump in with the billionaire elitist class and being oh, he's one of them, he's a billionaire. It's they're all the same. And I think that's where they're really missing the point. They did a good job of really hammering, the public perception of Trump early on, because that's the hardest thing, is to win people back over on the guy himself.
Yeah, I've been really watching how this has all been playing out here, especially the public perception and the reception of.
I also think there's going to be an unknown factor once this stuff really starts to blow open too. Unknown in the sense is, how are people going to react and how are you going to see things? Because that's going to be changing to so many different people.
Yeah, that's
you know what I
true.
mean? So like,
yeah,
like it's hard to say. It's like almost like when you're 15 years old and you're like, well, when I'm 40, I'm gonna think that like, well, now that once you get to be that age, you're like, well, I didn't know shit when I was 15. How could I even have hypothesized how I was gonna think then? So I think that like as we go forward, that like people are gonna be in a very different state of mind, and I'm very eager to see where that brings us.
Well,
yeah, and that's why the Q stuff is so important, because if Q is real and Q is legit, then it's like, okay, cool, you've empowered a lot of smart people who have been researching this stuff, so when it does come out, they can explain everything. That would be ideal.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I
just hope that's what happens.
You know what? And my defense of Q, the whole phenomenon, has always been very right down the middle. Whether or not we say whatever the definitive real or not real, whatever the hell it is going on here, this little treasure hunt, this little scavenger hunt, whatever the hell it is, these homework assignments that have been given to millions of people through on these boards, the material is real. The crimes are real. The players are real. I mean, the sequence of events, the coup d'etat that is real. All of it is. So that's why I've always said, no matter what's going on out there, consume what you can. Go and research. Whatever is encouraging people to read and research is a great thing whatsoever. But aside from that, don't spend money where you're not sure if that's the only thing. You say it's a scam. Damn. What do you know? Just when you start talking about things that are really, really interesting, we have this.